Hi everybody, bless you. I trust that this week has been one in which you have sensed the Lord's presence with you, whatever's come. Certainly the cold weather's come, but we've been enjoying the rain, finally seeing everything turning green again after this very dry, lovely, warm summer we've had, and a good excuse to snuggle up inside again. This morning we're going to be looking very much at leadership. And I wanted to open by asking Nick if he would allow me to interview him on his experiences about that particular topic. In 2011, Nick was employed as the general manager, handling finance and operations at South Africa's largest private label bottled water company. This company supplied major retailers around the country and also various countries in wider Africa and the Middle East. The company was owned by two individuals, but at the end of 2011, one was killed in a motorcycle accident and the other died just 6 months later of heart failure. A series of rushed decisions by the two family trusts left Nick and three others tasked with running the company. How did you feel about that?
Daunted. We had lost two people that were close to us, a friend that I had worked with day in and day out for a number of years. But at the same time I was excited. It was new opportunities for me, increase in salary, more influence, and a chance to grow the business the way I, or the people around me, thought would be good for it.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced coming into the position?
Well, we had just lost two people, so it was handling the mood of the company, but also the business was at a difficult time. You know, in South Africa, there were a lot of environmental changes that were affecting a lot of businesses, high inflation rates, changes in the currencies. The business had also been running at a loss because of some mistakes that had been made in the initial setting up of the business. And we were also in a very competitive industry.
Did you do anything to improve your own leadership skills in order to cope better with these challenges?
Yes, I attended courses, I read every book I could get my hands on, studied further, and most of all I prayed. I'd get to the office early in the mornings and I would spend my time there just in quiet, just listening for what the Lord had to say to me. For the things that I needed to do that day. There were a lot of things that are out of my control, but for the ones that I could control, I wanted to handle them the best I could.
That sounds brilliant. Did it mean you got every decision right from there on out?
I wish. It was a constant learning experience through events that I encountered, also the books that I read, the quiet times that I had, the team meetings that I had with business partners, etc. Also conversations with my wife, mulling over and working through the events or circumstances. It was good to get different perspectives, things that I couldn't see that someone from outside could see. And those all helped me to make better decisions.
Did all the new leaders in your leadership team view the privilege of their promotion in the same way?
Unfortunately not. Two of them saw it as an opportunity to siphon off one of our key deals to start a business of their own. Another we later discovered was taking bribes from some suppliers, and this was influencing the advice she was giving to the team in terms of which suppliers to use and which directions to go in. Fortunately, they both left the business within 2 years, but they had caused some damage within the business, and I found myself having to cover their roles too, over and above the responsibilities I had.
Despite the challenges that you faced from 2011 to 2015, the company grew 35% per annum. How did this growth change your leadership role?
Well, it shifted my leadership role quite significantly from having to be involved with the day-to-day operations to to overseeing the day-to-day operations, having to employ managers to run those functions for me, and then to work with them in terms of making decisions. And a lot of my role then shifted to managing relationships with shareholders, suppliers, customers, trade unions, and also the banks. So I had to delegate a lot of my previous responsibilities to two new management team that would then report in to me. But it was also difficult because I had to choose people that were going to be good at managing the function, but that were also going to be good at communicating with me and with the rest of the team, both the good things that were happening and also the bad things that were happening, so that we could handle those bad things so that they didn't snowball and become major events that we couldn't control.
It all sounds pretty stressful. Where did you find the support to cope with it all?
Well, fortunately, I was blessed in that the Lord showed me the right people to choose for the positions. So I had a good team around me that I could trust. But I also had a safe place to come home to, where I knew I was loved and I could talk through the issues and also pray with my wife, who was with me. I had a church that I could attend on a Sunday, friends there, fellowship, and they could provide us with godly guidance in terms of the things that I was facing in the time. But also, I had time alone. I had long drives to work and home, so I was able to spend some time with the Lord in that. I would take out a Friday afternoon and just have coffee on my own and just reflect on the week and listen for answers. What also helped me was exercise. I enjoy martial arts, so I signed up for private lessons, and so I did that once a week, and that really took it out of me. So it gave me some time to do something else that wasn't just focused on work.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you had things pretty much figured out. What went wrong?
Unfortunately, the family trusts were difficult to manage. One of the key members of one of the family trusts was partially involved with the business, and he would periodically make decisions without consulting anybody, and these decisions had great ramifications. They were extremely costly to the business through lost revenue, additional costs, misappropriated funds. And we also discovered through the process that the business had been signed as a surety or a guarantor for one of the family trust's properties. And this person then decided that as a result of a dispute over this property with family members, that they would put the business into liquidation, which ultimately killed the business in the end.
So the people you should have been able to trust the most, who should have had your back as you ran the company for them, ultimately undermined you.
Yes, the short answer is yes. Unfortunately, my team and I only discovered on a Monday morning when we got into work that the business had been placed into liquidation, and we only found that out because the bank accounts had been frozen. So we weren't able to pay any suppliers or manage or do anything with regards to the business. Suddenly I realized that there were 108 employees that were reliant on me, and they were going to be out of a job now. We had customers that were phoning wanting their deliveries, suppliers who wanted payments. When I tried contacting the shareholder and asking him if he knew what was going on, he said to me he had no idea and that I should speak to the bank. I wasn't receiving any answers from anyone.
Goodness me. So it fell to you to try and deal with the fallout. What did you see your leadership role as being at that point?
Well, there wasn't really much I could do with regards to the bank accounts and that had already been decided for me. So my focus was then on trying to manage the staff and do what was best in terms of that. We were coming towards the end of the month. They were now going to not be paid for the month that they had worked. So I had to try and figure out a way to pay them so that they could at least have some sort of safety net for a couple of weeks, because in South Africa there isn't really unemployment benefits that are of any significance. They are so small that you can barely feed your family off them. So it became my main goal to sort of manage the expectations of the staff and try and get them paid, but I also had to meet with our suppliers and with our customers and inform them of what was going on and to let them know what was going to happen and how we could manage that going forward.
Did everyone appreciate all your efforts?
Unfortunately not. I had been the face of the business, so I took the brunt of the blame. I was blamed for the business going under. I was blamed for people not having jobs, for suppliers losing money, for customers losing money because they didn't have stock. And the liquidators were then told to have an investigation in terms of the business into why the business went into liquidation, why the business failed. So there was a lengthy inquest over a period of a year where I was thoroughly questioned. My team was questioned. But at the end of it, I was vindicated. They told me that I had not done anything wrong, that they thought I had acted admirably in the situation. But unfortunately, the relationships had already been destroyed. The suppliers, the customers that I'd been in contact with previously, we had lost contact. Staff, everybody else. It was too late at the end.
What saved you from sinking into a bitter depression after all of that?
Knowing God, my family, my wife, knowing that they still loved me and cared for me, that they supported me and that they were in this with me, that was ultimately what got me through things. But also, in praying with my wife, we had a distinct sense that God was moving us in another direction, and that I had to hand over all of this and all of the responsibilities that I had on my shoulders, or that I felt that I had on my shoulders, over to Him, and to release them to Him and let Him handle them. And also, I had to admit my helplessness, which was tough.
Being a leader certainly is not an easy task, especially when you have all of that coming at you.